today to do a little bit of a run through on sort of desk-based setup. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes for people to jump online. Sarah is behind the camera wearing a mask, but just to ensure that we are socially distanced.
Yeah, so we thought we would just jump on here today, and with all students currently reverting back to remote learning from home recently, we'd just like to take the time today to discuss some simple things that we can do for ourselves at home to help reduce your child's risk of developing posture-related or desk-bound injuries and pain during this time. So myself and Laura today are going to go through some handy tips for improving your at-home desk setup, as well as some practical exercises that can be easily performed throughout the day whilst you're at home and studying. So please feel free to follow along with us at home. Alrighty, so essentially with all classes now being online, this means that we're now spending a lot more time in front of a computer screen, and therefore it is very important to create a nice ergonomic desk setup at home. And this is going to help to avoid some common postural or repetitive strain type of injuries. Alright, so what we're going to go through with Laura now is her desk setup, pretending that this is our at-home desk setup. When we're looking to set up our ergonomics, what we want to look at first, we'll start from the bottom and work our way up. We're going to work with those feet. So when we're sitting, we want to make sure that both of our feet are sitting nice and flat and comfortable on the ground. If we find that our legs are kind of dangling or struggling to reach that floor, a handy tip that we could use is just to place a small box or a small footstool underneath those feet to make sure that they've got that full ground contact. Working our way up, we'll just have a look at those knees. We want to make sure that those knees are sitting at a nice comfortable 90-degree position there as well. Again, when we're looking at our chair position, we want to make sure that our chair is pulled in nice and close to our desk. We don't want those arms reaching far away from us. We want to be nice and close. As you can see, elbows are sitting nice and comfortably by our sides, and arms are supported with our arm rests. Okay, and again, moving our way up in terms of that screen height. Ideally, when we are looking straight ahead, we want the top line of our computer to be in line with our eyesight. So as you can see here, we have used many different textbooks and different props in order to bolster up the height of our laptop here. So we recommend that you can do the same thing at home. Grab anything just to bolster up that height so that when we're looking straight forwards, the top of our screen is nice and in line with our eye line. When we're looking at our seated positioning as well, as you can see here, I'll just come around to the side a little bit. With our chair, essentially we want to have a nice little kind of lumbar curvature in our chair to support the natural curve of our lower back. What we've actually got on this chair here, if Laura just moves forward a little bit, is a nice lumbar support. So this just provides a little bit of support to that lower back region in sitting. If you don't have one of these at home though, you can also try and just grab a small towel, roll it up and place it in the small of your back there as well, to give that a go if you are tending to get any lower back pain or anything associated with that. Alright, so those are the main things that we essentially want to cover in terms of our desk setup. So I thought we would also touch on what else we can do throughout the day to ensure we minimise our risk of injury. Because it's widely known that sitting for prolonged periods of time is not good for our joints and muscles or even our overall health. Holding these poor prolonged postures for a long period of time can put unnecessary strain on some of our joints, ligaments and muscles, and this can ultimately result in pain. It is also recognised that prolonged periods of sitting or sedentary behaviour can also have long-term negative effects on our health and can increase our risk of developing heart disease, diabetes and some types of cancer. So all in all, essentially it is important to make sure that you get up and move every 30 minutes or essentially at the end of any class or period, whatever duration that might be for your school day. These breaks don't need to be long at all, just a simple stretching routine, standing for a couple of minutes or going to the kitchen and grabbing a quick drink is all that it needs to be, but the key to this is to make it nice and regular. All right, so with Laura today, we thought we'd go through a quick and simple desk-based stretching routine that we can do throughout the day to just break up our sitting posture and make sure that our muscles and joints stay nice and mobile and nice and stretched. All right, so what we're going to start today with is some thoracic rotations. So Laura, can you please take us through some seated rotations, essentially whilst you're sitting, placing hands across your chest and turning your full body around one direction as far as you can, and then following it around to the other. At each stage here, we just want to hold for a second or two, feeling that stretch through that middle of the back. We can also place our hands on that chair to provide a little bit more of a resistance, to pull ourselves into a little bit more of a stretch. What we want to do is just do this 10 times. So we're up to 5. Keep going for me, Laura. Where are we feeling this stretch?
Nice in the middle back.
In the middle back, perfect. So we're doing lots of these stretches based on sitting posture. So when we are seated at our computer, we tend to take a bit of a slumped or a forwards posture in our upper back and our lower back. So the purpose of this is to stretch out through that area. Okay, I've lost count, but next one we'll go into a thoracic extension exercise. So essentially what we want to do is we want to arch our back backwards. Excellent. So as you can see, Laura's got a high back to her chair here, so she's just come forwards a little bit in that chair so that she's got room to arch that back backwards. Lovely. Again, we're going to go for 10 here, and we want to feel that nice stretch again in that upper back and shoulder blade region. As you can see, we don't have a whole lot of mobility here. That's natural for thoracic extension. It should feel like a really nice relieving stretch after being cooped up at the computer for a long period of time. I'll get you to do 3 more for me, Laura. Very nice. Perfect. All right, now we're going to go into our side bend exercise. All right, grabbing one hand, putting onto our opposite hip. Other hand goes straight up to the ceiling and then bends over to the side. All right, and yes, Laura is pointing to essentially where we want to be feeling this stretch. So the sides of our lower back here, and then repeating on the other side. Hand goes across to the opposite hip, other hand goes up and over. So essentially we're trying to get a bit of side bend in here, stretching out through those long muscles that run parallel down the backs of our spines. Very nice. Let's go one more each direction for me, Laura. Perfect. All right, from here, let's go into some of our neck stretches. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do, Laura, is just gently pull your neck down to your shoulder. So if you are looking straight ahead, all you're doing is imagining that you're dropping your ear directly down to that shoulder. And if you can just point to us where you're feeling that stretch.
On that opposite side.
Perfect. So we just want to feel a nice stretch through the muscles on the opposite side of that neck, and then over towards the other side as well. Just holding each here for about 5 seconds, but we'll do a few repetitions through both sides. Again, this is quite a nice relieving and relaxing stretch to do following lots of computer work. All right, and then if we just rotate those eyes down towards that opposite underarm area, what we're going to do is just slightly change where we're going to feel that stretch. So instead of directly on the side of the neck, now we're going to be feeling it a little bit back behind the neck, still on that opposite side, but a little bit further around the back. Excellent. If we feel like we want to get a bit more of a stretch, we can always use our hand again to help just gently push that head down and increase that stretch of what we're feeling. Very nice. Again, we're just holding each for 5 seconds. I'll get you to do one more each side. As we're doing these exercises, just a reminder that we do just want to feel a nice muscular stretch here. We shouldn't be pushing into anything too painful. Perfect. All right. Lots of time spent in sitting essentially means that we want to also give these hip flexors a nice stretch. So this one I'm going to get you to come up out of your seat. And what you're going to do, Laura, is stepping forwards with one leg. What we want to do is stretch the hip flexor of our back leg, the one that Laura's pointing to there for me. That probably makes it easier. Excellent. All right, so what I'm going to get Laura to do is gently tuck her tailbone underneath her. Very good. And then just slowly try and push your hips forwards towards the wall in front of you there, Laura. Excellent. You don't need to go too far, and then you should feel a nice stretch down the front of that hip flexor where Laura's pointing to. Perfect. All right, just holding for 5 to 10 seconds and then changing those legs. Good. So reminder, just a little bit of a pelvic tilt. So tucking that tailbone under first and then pushing those hips forward. That means that we don't have to lunge forward so far. We should be able to feel that stretch pretty soon. Very nice. I'll get you to do one more each side again for me, Laura. Again, a very nice one when we have to spend lots of time in this sitting position to stretch out those hip flexors. Lovely. All right, and then what I like to finish with is just, we are going to go through 20 squats, Laura. So hip width apart. This one is all about just getting that blood pumping, body moving. We want to get that blood and oxygen travelling back to the brain so that we're nice, ready and alert to get back into our study or working from home.
Any counting?
No, that's your job. What are you up to?
14.
19, 20. Excellent. All right, Laura is all ready to get back to her work now. All right, so essentially that's all that we've got time for today. I would like to thank everyone who has joined us today. We hope that you've taken away some handy tips or tricks to use at home. Should you have any further queries or concerns about your own individual situation, setup at home or injuries, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us here at Melbourne East Physio, as we are still available for physio consultations both in clinic and online via telehealth services. And also just a reminder to stay tuned for some more of our upcoming live sessions over the coming weeks. Tomorrow at 11:30, I believe we've got a live session on some good functional exercises that you can be doing at home. And then on Thursday at 10:45, we've got a nice educational session, and again with some exercises on lower back pain. Thank you very much, and goodbye.